All right, today we're going to be checking out Armaf La Homme. Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark for pronunciation. I'm sure it's off by a good margin, but you guys know what I'm talking about here. It's an eau de parfum concentration. It's nothing new. This has actually been out for quite a while. For whatever reason, I didn't get it until recently. Kind of a dumb move on my part because going into it, you know, it's an Armaf. Generally, they're pretty good when it comes to their clones, but part of me was like, okay, is this really going to be what I'm expecting it to be? And I can say with a lot of excitement, it is exactly what I was expecting it to be, maybe a little bit more. We're going to be checking it out. I'm going to tell you how it smells, how it performs when you can wear it, and ultimately, I'm going to tell you that this is kind of a little bit of a hybrid clone, and it's kind of going after the original Dior Homme. We're not talking 2020 with all the vetiver and cashmere, and we're talking Iris Dior Homme meets a little bit of Valentino Uomo Intense, and to me, even meets a little bit of Dior Homme Oh. Interesting. So let's get into it. You know, when I first sprayed this one on, I knew right away what I was in for. I'm like, yep, this is it right here. It has that freshness of Dior Homme first and foremost. When you first spray it on, immediately the Dior Homme freshness. Not Homme Intense, quite a bit different than that one. Not straight up Uomo Intense yet, but it does start to get there in a second. But it does have the kind of powdery iris, but not to the completely super sweet lipstickiness. It's the fresh Dior Homme iris here. It even has a little bit of that interesting, unique texture and kind of slight fresh tidbit that Dior Homme Oh does as well. Now that was, something that came out before Prada L'Homme, and Prada L'Homme kind of came in and just was able to catch a lot more hype, and then the Dior got discontinued. I really love Dior Homme Oh. I think it's great. You get a tinge of that type of fresh twist off the opening of this as well, but that does dissipate relatively quickly. Now, once you start getting into the mid and dry down, you start getting a little bit more sweetness. Not sweetness from something like a Dior Homme Intense, though. Like I had said, it's more of a Valentino Uomo Intense because it has this leather accord in here. Now, leather is something that you really don't get in too many of the Dior Hommes, aside from the Parfum, but it's used heavily in Uomo Intense by Valentino. And you get some of that. You get a little bit of a chocolatey feel also, which again is also kind of carries over from some of Dior Homme Intense over to Valentino Uomo Intense, but it's kind of chocolatey leather that you really get that kind of separates it and just gives it that Valentino Uomo Intense feel. But again, that opening is fresh Dior Homme. So you got to make sure when you are testing this one, you give it plenty of wearings on skin as well, and then you'll see what I'm talking about there in terms of just the hybrid nature that this one has. Let's take a look at the notes here real quick. Might as well go over them. We've got lavender, sage, and bergamot off the top. We've got iris, coffee, and amber in the mid. Vetiver, leather, and cedarwood in the base. So definitely some similarities there. And you see coffee. Well, what is coffee used in? The original Valentino Uomo. So then you're kind of asking, is it like a straight up quadruple hybrid? Do you even get some original Valentino Uomo in here as well? Not as much. The coffee isn't all that strong to my nose. Maybe you get a little bit of a coffee feel or texture further on in the dry down. Not enough to where I would say it is super similar to the original Valentino Uomo. Again, it's more so going in the direction that I described it with the others. But it is kind of cool to see. In terms of the top notes, you do get some of that lavender, and that's used in a lot of these iris scents as well. Just kind of giving it a little bit of a masculine aromatic base. The iris is, of course, the star of the show. That's what it is all about, and that's probably what you clicked on this video for. And yes, you get a lot of it. It's not to the level of Homme Intense or Homme Parfum, where it is super lipsticky and super heavy, and those kind of put some people off. It's a much fresher iris, still with some sweetness, but not a ton. And I think that's where a lot of people tend to gravitate towards, not only just the original Dior Homme, but even Valentino Uomo and Uomo Intense in particular, because those are a little bit fresher, a little bit easier to digest overall. When you take a look at the iris hierarchy, so to speak, and you're talking the sweet ones, I'm not talking your Prada L'Hommes and your other fresh ones, you know, it kind of goes on the side of most wearable, Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum. In the middle, you have Valentino Uomo / Uomo Intense, right? Mostly Uomo Intense because it's the sweeter one and it's using it more. And on the other end of things, in terms of harder to wear, you have your Dior Homme Intense, and even a further notch after that, Dior Homme Parfum. So Valentino Uomo Intense has always been that middle ground. You want something that is going to kind of appeal to you, someone that is a little bit more of an enthusiast, but still has a ton of mass appeal and it's easier to pull off. Uomo Intense is kind of the best one for that. Gentleman Eau de Parfum focuses a lot more on vanilla, still has the iris, but it's going to be the most tame of them all. And so this is kind of meeting in the middle as well. And it's using what everyone likes of those easier to wear irises and combining them into one and bringing it to you at a much more affordable package. Something like the original Dior Homme, well, you just can't get it anymore. There's Dior Homme Original. Yes, literally Dior Homme Original. That's what it's called, which is a re-release of that OG DNA. Sometimes it's in stock on discounters. Each time it comes up, I send out an email to my mailing list subscribers. You can sign up at the first link down below. That being said, it's not often. It's usually pretty limited, and so it's a little bit tough to get. That's really your best chance of getting to that DNA, because to find like an OG bottle of just Dior Homme itself is even harder and more expensive. Valentino Uomo Intense, it's easy to get. I mean, you can buy it at retail for whatever it's going for at retail. I can't remember, to be honest with you guys, maybe 120, something like that, maybe a bit less, I don't know. But in terms of finding it under retail, it's pretty tough. You're generally stuck with paying that retail price because it's sold out on discounters a lot. Doesn't mean it's discontinued. It's not. Just for whatever reason, discounters aren't picking it up as much anymore. When they do, I also send out an email about it, and they always go quick because people are wanting that stuff below retail. It is tough to come by. So ultimately, you get that whole package deal for a more affordable price. At the end of the day, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at clones for. You know, you're wanting to save money, you're wanting to add more variety to your collection, and you're able to do so because you can, you know, get more for your money, so to speak. Instead of getting one fragrance for $120, you could get 3 or 4 or 5 if you split it up and buy clones and more affordable things overall. It's not everybody's go-to way, you know. Some people are not for the clones, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's completely up to you. The person that's spending your money is going to be you, so you make that decision. But a lot of you guys also really appreciate the savings. Even I like the savings, and I've got all this stuff. I have backup bottles. I see something like this, and it's done to perfection. It's done really well, and I'm hyped up about it. I mean, it is really close to those that I've been describing it to, guys, to the point where it is impressive. Talk about quality. Quality is also fantastic. Now, is it as expensive and luxurious smelling as the others that I've been referencing this whole time that I've said ad nauseum? Not quite to that level. You can tell there is a gap in quality, and it makes sense. You pay a premium for those others, but at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. Now, I'm not saying that when you're paying, you know, a cheapy price for this that you're getting garbage. It's actually above average quality in this price bracket when you compare it to some other things, even some designer brands like your Nauticas and Calvin Klein's that are around this price at discounters. You can tell that this one has a fair bit of quality to it, so nothing wrong there. In terms of performance, again, we're talking an eau de parfum. Longevity on my skin has been pretty consistent at the 7 to 8 hour mark, which is pretty good given the price point. Not as quite as strong as Uomo Intense, and it's about on par with Dior Homme. So that's kind of where it sits. Now, in terms of when you can wear this one, you have a lot of options. You know, I think generally speaking, it's going to be just a moderate temperature scent and below, I guess. You know, this is not something that I would be rushing to wear in the summertime. You know, it's just going to get too sweet. When it's summertime, I want my freshies and aquatics and things that remind me of being on vacation. This is more the thing where when I smell it, it reminds me of being snuggled up in the wintertime. You know, it just has that comforting feel. So anything where it's, you know, comfortable room temperature, 68, 70 degrees and below, is best suited for this one. But that being said, that's a big range. You could wear this anywhere from, very beginning of fall, maybe even late summer, all the way into the end of spring. You have a big range of uses for this one because it's got some of that freshness, also has that sweetness as well for when the temperatures dip down low when the sun goes down. So a lot of versatility out of this. It's upscale, it's classy, it's refined, it's elegant. It is a great scent overall. If you're looking for a hybrid of what I've mentioned at a fraction of the price, look no further. I don't know why I didn't get this sooner, but I'm regretting it like I had mentioned because this is really impressive. I was so pleased when I got this in and smelled it for the first time because I was impressed. I will drop a link to this one down below. If you want to pick it up, there you can do so. If you're looking for any rare, discontinued, or hard to find fragrances, you want to pick some up, hit the first link down below, sign up to the mailing list. It's completely free, and anytime something rare does come into stock, I send out an email. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.